Good afternoon. My name is Bob Witanek, and I'm the editor of Fight Back Better. Now, you just heard a comedian, and you might think what I'm going to do next is comedy, but I'm going to start with a song, and don't worry, Vic, I'm not going to sing the whole song. NSPM 7, what's it gonna do to you? NSPM 7, it happens while you took a snooze, and you thought you had nothing to lose, but now you got the NSPM 7 blues. All right, the good news is, I'm not gonna sing the whole song. All right, how many people here know what NSPM 7 is? National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. Okay, not too many people. Please, and this is like audience participation. You can get your phone out and start. You can Google it while we're talking. I won't be offended. But everybody should learn about National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. And to be perfectly honest, me and dear Lily, we're in the left side of the spectrum. So we're usually speaking to a totally different audience than this. And on many issues, we probably disagree with you. But that's okay. We're not here to talk about, I hope, issues that you disagree with. We're probably here talking mostly about, hopefully, that you agree with. And there's time and place for all kinds of conversations. But I want to tell you about how we came to connect with the Libertarian Party on National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. Now, you're not going to believe this if you don't know about it, because every time I talk to somebody who doesn't know about it, they start looking at you like you're a conspiracy theorist. But National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 was, NSPM 7 for short, was signed in September by Trump. And it's different than a presidential order, but he thinks he can do this by proclamation, that basically proclaims that having 10 categories of opinions contradictory basically to MAGA's opinion on these 10 matters, you can be classified or proclaimed as a domestic terrorist and subject to disruptive intervention into your life, legally, militarily, shot down in the street, as we're seeing. And this, Lily and I, back in, Lily was on the ballot for governor as a Green Party, and we're not going to get too deep into it, but the Cheryl team sued, got off the ballot, and it was totally, they threw out like 600 signatures, something like that. You know, it's total kind of issues, the Libertarian Party. But anyway, but nonetheless, our goal was, so Lily ran as a write-in, and our goal was to leverage the campaign at least to communicate to the Cheryl administration on behalf of the whole state of New Jersey to protect all of us from thought control policing of National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. And what we were calling upon, and we still call upon, as our sign says, is similar to how in New Jersey police are supposed to not participate in enforcement of civilian immigration federal law. We are saying to extend those similar protections because National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 calls for participation of our police forces, our Joint Terrorist Task Force, which most of our police forces have members upon, to participate in a political investigation. Now, I'm going to list the 10 things. Now, you might think like I'm a leftist. You might not care about the 10 things. But I'm saying probably everyone in this room, you could check at least 5 or 6 of these boxes. And basically, remember that you're going to be looked at on these 10 subjects from a MAGA perspective. Now, I know libertarians kind of to the right and we're kind of to the left, but MAGA, you just, you know, it's like whack, you know. I don't know if I have to convince anyone, but basically, so here's the 10 things. If you are anti-American, anti-capitalist, or anti-Christian, if you are extreme on race, immigration or gender. If you are strongly critical or you attack, quote unquote, original American values on religion, family, and morals, and the other one is if you believe in the overthrow of the United States government. 10 things. Now you might think, I'm like, none of them are mine, but no, let me go over them with you, okay? So first off, you're looking at it from MAGA perspective. Now I know Libertarian Party has kind of like, maybe not my opinion on immigration, but you believe that you have a right to have some kind of rules, but you recognize the individual rights according to the Constitution of everybody in the nation. And that's kind of like, might be my opinion, but based on that, you might be critical of what Trump is doing right now. So therefore, you might come onto the category of extremists on immigration. Race, I know there's black libertarians who have a very strong opinion on that this racism. You know, there's all kinds of libertarians who understand those things. You might have difference of opinion. You know, I might not, we might not agree exactly on history. Gender, I see a rainbow flag right here. You know, I'm sure there's like a spectrum of sexual range within the Libertarian Party. And I'm not asking for details, but basically, you may be extremist on gender. On the original nation, I mean, I mentioned African Americans who happen to be libertarian. Many understand the true history of enslavement and you know, the horrors. You know, Trump's tearing down museums. You know, so if you still believe all that stuff, you're extremist on race. And you clash with the original values as far as overthrowing the government. You might have opinions in your mind, even as libertarians, that under certain circumstances, I mean, the whole premise of right to bear arms is, you know, in case you have to settle business, that in some circumstances. So you may fall in that category too. You of the right could also fall in any of the categories. Anyone who's of the right may have any of those categories, and I'm betting most of you have at least a few of them. So if they go, and they are making the cases. They are making the cases, and if you saw the two victims in Minneapolis who were shot, they immediately, without any evidence, proclaimed them to be domestic terrorists. They didn't touch a weapon. Well, the one one was concealed carry. You support that, but he was disarmed already. But the other one didn't touch a weapon. Nobody was plotting with bombs. Nobody was doing any kind of secret domestic terrorist stuff. They were opposing what, you know, the ICE was doing, and so shows that it's in motion. So basically, it's being used now to justify murdering people in the street who disagree with the actions of the Trump administration. And you know, you made okay. So this is how we connected. When we've had trouble getting a lot of people on the left to get behind this national security presidential memorandum 7. Also, a lot of them people are afraid, but you know, it sounds too crazy to be true. But when it was just me and Lily, Bonnie Kerness of American Friends Service Committee, she was on board right away. I reached out to Lana. Lana reached out to Vic. They were the fourth and fifth people to come in on this effort. So here we have this kind of weird left, you know, you guys, I'm not trying to disparage, but you know, you guys are to the right. All right, great, cool. I won't have to go there. But we had different, you know, whatever. But here we are on this very principled issue. Thought control policing should be straightforward to everyone. And what I like to do is, there is a QR code, fightbackbetter.com. If you can pick up this QR code, I invite everyone here and your organization to sign the statement. Yeah, that's it. And we have about 60, 70 people who signed the statement. I don't know if it's the exact number, who signed the statement. And basically, it outlines a whole bunch of principles for the state to provide protection to say that New Jersey police don't get involved in Joint Terrorist Task Force, in thought control police and trying to make cases on us. And it's going on. We don't, and we've been like urgent about it because until they put some kind of protection in place, we have to assume that it could be happening now. And what that means is, you know, the police, they take videos of the protests, they monitor social media, all of that, and they do it in their mind. You know, we might question why they do it, but in their minds, they do it for safety purposes and to monitor for law enforcement purposes, because groups do illegal things. You know, that's their legal justification. We may question that, but and to a certain degree, it's kind of true. Otherwise, they'd be coming after us all the time. You know, they'd be knocking on our doors. They knocked on my door this year, but they're not coming there. They didn't knock on everyone's door. But they'd be coming after everyone, you know, if they were really doing it from their nefarious purpose. But they got all the data. So the Justice Department wants that data, and they're going to look at it through a different lens, not on whether you did anything illegal, but whether you have these opinions, which they're trying to proclaim make you guilty of domestic terrorism, and put you so that when they shoot you, they could just say, oh, we dumped a few more terrorists on the street today. And then, you know, everyone will move on because it'll be explained that they were domestic terrorists. It's really that bad. You know, you might think I'm like over the top. He's crazy leftist. But, so you guys were in. We actually did a public hearing outside the FBI complex. Vic and Lana were there. And we had about 8 speakers, and we videoed it. It's all on Fight Back Better, where we laid out, and we're creating a legal record that we have communicated this to the government so that if people literally get slaughtered, we have created a track record. Who knew about it, who we complained to and did nothing about it. They're on the hook too. The ones that do it are on the hook. The ones that look the other way are on the hook. Legally, I believe. They might not be the first ones on the hook because the ones who actually pulled the trigger and, you know, like the bovinos out in the field, you know, telling them to grab those babies out those seats, you know, they might be more on the hook first. You know, we may not come after everybody, but we should hold accountability. So we're creating a track record, and at least Libertarian Party, Vic and Lana put you on the record of standing between New Jersey's millions of people and these crazy laws. And here's where it comes to a hill. There's actually a Democrat who spoke up, Guy Centrone, and it's at our site, recent article, and we've been speaking up on it too. You might have heard that Cheryl wants to create a portal to submit videos of ICE nabs and stuff. That's self-incrimination, my friends, because you send that video in. Forget about NSPN7. In any case, anything you send into state police, you better show it to your lawyer first, and for your immigrant attorney plus your defense attorney. Because, like, say if they're grabbing that guy and he elbows you know, when you get nabbed, you don't know who's grabbing you. You might elbow them. Okay, now because of the video you sent in, they're making an assault case against that immigrant and using that as another reason to throw him out. That could happen. And also at our site, Lisa Davis, she's a Palestine protester in liberal South Orange, was arrested. She came late to the protests. Protest was almost over. She just happened to be holding a tiny little toy bullhorn when a sort of like a provocateur, pro-Israel provocateur came along and created like a big stir. And she got it on video. The police asked her for it. She gave them the video. She ended up getting charges. Bogus charges. The police lied. The prosecutor lied. It was, you know, long story. But basically, be careful sending videos in. But now we're saying, you're collecting videos, and you haven't sent, Cheryl has not even acknowledged NSPM7. We've been on her since October. Not even acknowledged. And Guy Centrone, there's maybe like a half a dozen Democrats that have even acknowledged. Hardly anyone. Why? It's like the whole blueprint of this whole crackdown that's getting political. It's not just going after immigrants. The whole Palantir methods. Palantir was used in Gaza. Palantir is used with the immigrants. Palantir is used for NSPM7. And it's creating a... Palantir and other companies are creating the list of what communities they're sending into, and also the photo IDing our protected speech opposition to ICE of protesters and those who are supporting the community. You may disagree with the methods and all, but it's still protected speech. until I mean, some cross the line, and if you cross the line, I would say don't cross the line. Don't say certain things. Don't advocate violence. Protected speech comes to a certain limit. But and there's people who are crossing the line. Any movement, right wing, left wing, libertarian, you get people who are well-meaning, but they have personal problems and they get swayed by this voice or that voice. They do bad things. You can't condemn the whole movement. People got to be careful, especially when they're making these cases. Don't give them an excuse to come after us more so. So that the portal is the reason why New Jersey has to act immediately to say, how do we know? Because DOJ will say, yeah, we want those videos. We're enforcement too. We want, and so you're handing those videos not just to Cheryl, you're handing them to the state police. But in any event, even if it had nothing to do with NSPM7, don't go dropping videos. You might save videos, document them, maybe store them with some kind of legal outfit that protects the videos and the chain of evidence and everything. All right. So the other thing that libertarians were helpful with was in the past year and a half, almost 2 years, there's been an attempt, and I'm not trying to put the Israel-Palestine question on the floor, but the idea that we have a right to speak out on either side of the issue, whereas there are push by certain groups in New Jersey to try to make it illegal to take certain positions. And especially while this tremendous environment of repression, you don't want to give anyone an example. Now let me just give you this example. There's a woman from Patterson who was at Columbia University who is been in detention for almost a year, and she's facing being sent back to Israel, where 100 of her relatives died in Gaza, and Israel's trying to pass a death penalty for basically Palestinians who are in prison. So she may be killed there, and she's in New Jersey. She's as a result of her life in New Jersey. That's IHRA. So, as far as my position, if you disagree with me on this issue, I agree with your right to say your opinion, and we ask that, but the government's trying to say, or the Democrats and Republicans have been trying to push these measures. Lana spoke up with her in her campaign with us to say, don't pass this law, especially in this climate. And we held off on it for 2 years. It's going to be introduced again. That's another part of free speech issue. I want to turn it over to Lily. She's going to, because as with the whole horrors of all the terrors, she could also relate a little bit deeper as an immigrant herself and as a person of color. Because as you know, the Supreme Court has legalized racial profiling. Sorry, I went too long.
It's okay. Hello. Okay, my name is Lily Benavides. I'm a co-chair of the Green Party of New Jersey and co-chair of the Latinx Caucus National. And I was going to say that I'm here as an immigrant, but that I changed my mind in the last week or so about that definition. Someone just posted something on Instagram, and I thought it was very smart. I am not an immigrant. I'm a native from America. So I want to emphasize that because I really want to change. I really want for people to change the language. And we are from here. The original people of the Americas, that's where we are from. So we are not natives. And America is not just this piece here, right? So we need to be conscious of that. And we also have to change the fact that people from here call themselves Americans, and they insult people saying, this is America, go back to your country or your land, and we are in our land, so we have to be conscious of that. Now, talking about ICE, well, he mentioned it, but as we know, as probably all of you know, ICE started after the 9/11. First it was Department of Homeland Security, and then came ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, and things have been escalated lately, right? Really bad. And he also said something that is very valuable, is that we have to work on the things that we have in common. And I know we are for human rights and the free speech, and that's why we need to stand together on these issues. About the NSPM 7, it is a danger for everybody, but it's more dangerous for people of color. And I don't know, it's just this feeling for us that we are always persecuted or being surveilled, you know. And I know that because I talk to my family and others, and I go in my car and I see all tinted windows cars, you know, next to us or in behind, and we are like, who is this, you know? I cannot keep going and waiting that car is going to turn another way, or for how long it's following me, because I just don't trust anyone at this point, you know. And it doesn't matter if you're a citizen. He talked about NSPM 7 again. It doesn't matter. You can bring. We had that discussion today because we had a Know Your Rights training, and someone said, "Why do I have to carry my passport?" Well, I said, "You can bring a copy, right? It would be safer. But even if you bring your passport, if I bring my passport, they can come and say it's fake. It doesn't matter. So that is not really something that can protect me right now." So well, we know how it is, but one thing that I can ask all of you is if you want to collaborate with this effort. There's so many groups and organizations working on this issue right now, trying to protect the communities. I brought some cards, some Know Your Rights cards, and have information on the back. I have some stickers. There's a number that you can call if you see anything strange, or if you are seeing an actual situation happening. You can also use that number to locate people that are detained, that you don't know where they took them because they disappear them. They take somebody, and then the family is looking for them. They have them here in New Jersey, and then suddenly in the middle of the night, they take them to Louisiana or Texas or who knows where, you know. And sometimes it takes weeks or months before they know where they are. And some have ended in the hospital. There was this case of this guy from Costa Rica. He just disappeared. When they found out, he was in the hospital, but he was dying. It passed like 3 months. He sent them to Costa Rica in a hospital bed. He was skinny like this. He died like a week after. And so, it's not only one person, it has happened all over. So, and now they are taking it with the kids. They're taking children on the street. They're taking children on the street. And they want to disappear them, or who knows what. So we really need to step up and do something about this. We need to work together, and basically that's why I said, yeah, I will come and talk about this, because it's really getting bad. It's getting bad, and it could get worse, and we know that because we don't have the protection of the people in power here in New Jersey. They're not moving a finger about it. They're not doing anything. They're not. It's just the ITA is one example. The Immigrant Trust Act it was implemented in 2018 to protect for the police not to work alone with ICE, right? And to get rid of the 287G, which that was a program that they were using, giving grants to the police departments, and so they were doing it for the money, obviously. So, but some counties that have serious issue with racial profiling didn't want to stop doing that and sued the state, but they lost, right? So somehow we've been protected because of that. But in the last year, there's many incidents with police, and the Attorney General didn't move a finger on it. And then they 2 years or so ago, they tried to make it a law. These past months, we were in Trenton pushing for that, to try to pass it. And let me tell you this, Democrats were playing a game with people. And we know that. I mean, they think we're stupid or something. I don't know what they think. There was one bill. It was one bill. That was all they had to do. It was one bill. They divided in three because they knew what they were doing. They divide the bill in three. You can't just tell me that the Senate and the Congress and all these people never had a communication with Murphy, being from the same party and asking for the same, trying to pass the same law. Nobody's going to believe that. So they knew what's going to happen. So they divided the bill because they knew that he wasn't going to sign the other two bills that are the more important ones. So he just signed this one. And so that doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for the people. So the police is still allowed to do whatever. And the rapid responder groups, which I'm part of that, they you can see when people call that there's police involved. They can deny it all they want, but there's towns, there's municipalities where police is involved when ICE gets there. And there's been cases that they stop somebody because of a traffic ticket, and then just they let them go, and 5 minutes later, ICE is catching them. So that's not a coincidence. And so is DMV. I mean, well, it was called DMV, right? Motors and Vehicles, whatever it is, the name. I believe that they are passing information to ICE or to the police. They just so we need to keep working on this. So I invite everybody that want to participate, volunteer, or any way that you can help. I go to the Lanny Hall. I have gone to translate for people and other things, and it's awful. It's just terrible. It's just, the last thing last week, there's this guy from Guatemala. He's an indigenous. He's been here for 20-something years. And he's there, and he's waiting to see if he gets deported because he doesn't want to be there, and he didn't want to talk about the things that are happening in there. He said, no, I don't want to talk about that, So it's terrible. It's terrible. We can't allow this to happen. I mean, I wonder every single day why we're still here and nothing is happening. Like, this is normal. This is not normal. It wasn't never normal in the first place, but now it's just crazy. We can't continue doing this. And then we as independents, we have to work together on this because we know what the duopoly is doing. They are together on this. They vote for the same bills. They vote for money for Israel. They vote for money for ICE. They've been doing this forever. Mikey Sherrill, 6 years as a congresswoman, there wasn't a time that she didn't vote for more money for ICE, for more detention centers, for more militarization of the border. She did it every single time. And the same with money for Israel. So in Palantir that he mentioned, they tried their technology in Gaza and Palestine, and now they are using it here with us, and they did it in Venezuela. Yeah, so what are we going to do about this? That's all I have to say. Thank you. Okay.